The Wild West, a land of gunfights, outlaws, and legendary gunslingers. This era in American history is packed with tales of cowboys and lawmen, their daring feats shaping the myths we still talk about today. Yet, the way many of these icons met their end was as wild and unpredictable as their lives. For some, their deaths were part of the true, gritty history of the West, far from the dramatic showdowns of Hollywood. Strangely ordinary yet tragically inevitable, these figures fell victim to the harsh realities of life in the unforgiving Old West. In this video, we'll take you through the real stories of how 8 of the most infamous Wild West legends truly met their fate. Number 1. Butch Cassidy. When you think of Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, you might picture the youthful Paul Newman and Robert Redford. But the real Butch and Sundance lived lives as thrilling and captivating as the legends portrayed on screen. With each heist, Cassidy's gang, the Wild Bunch, made off with an average of $35,000, leaving lawmen scratching their heads. Cassidy's careful planning made them nearly impossible to catch. But after decades of crime, Butch and the Sundance Kid decided to leave it all behind and seek a fresh start in South America. They kept a low profile until they were said to have stolen a payroll in Bolivia. Surrounded by the Bolivian cavalry at their hideout, a fierce gun battle erupted. By nightfall, 2 gunshots rang out, and the bodies of the men were discovered. The Sundance Kid, a bullet between his eyes, and Butch, a self-inflicted shot to the head. Yet, rumors linger to this day, with many insisting that Cassidy lived on long after the infamous shootout. The debate over whether these 2 men were truly the legendary outlaws endures, as some accounts suggest Cassidy was seen in the years that followed. Number 2. Billy the Kid. Billy the Kid. Just a kid, they called him, a mere lad. But by the age of 18, he had already claimed the lives of 17 men, and somehow he was still out there, running wild. Years later, Sheriff Pat Garrett finally managed to capture Billy, hauling him off to trial. The verdict was quick, and the sentence was even quicker, a hanging. But right before he was set to meet the gallows in 1881, Billy pulled off a daring escape, leaving 2 guards dead in his wake. Garrett, relentless as ever, tracked Billy down for 3 months, refusing to let his quarry slip through his fingers. Finally, a tip led Garrett to Maxwell Ranch in New Mexico, where Billy was holed up. In the darkness of a bedroom, Garrett waited, his heart pounding. Then, the door creaked and Billy stepped in. Without hesitation, Garrett's shot rang out, sealing the fate of the young outlaw. But just like so many legends of the Wild West, the truth about Billy's death remains clouded in mystery. Some say it wasn't Billy at all, but a young man who looked strikingly like him, maybe even Buffalo Bill Cody. Over the years, 2 different men came forward, claiming to be the real Billy the Kid, but their stories never held up. And so, the legend lives on, shrouded in doubt and intrigue. Number 3. Jesse James. Jesse James, the skilled outlaw, had caught the eye of Missouri's governor, Thomas Crittenden. The governor made it his mission to bring down the notorious criminal. After a failed bank robbery, Jesse and his brother Frank went into hiding. But Frank, seeking a change of heart, began to live a more honest life, drifting away from the life of crime. His departure left Jesse vulnerable, prompting him to recruit new members into his gang, men whose loyalties were yet to be tested. It was then that Bob Ford came into the picture. His brother Charlie had recently joined Jesse's crew, but it wasn't long before Bob learned of a tempting offer from Governor Crittenden, a $10,000 reward for Jesse's capture. The temptation proved too great for Bob. He convinced his brother Charlie to betray their leader, and together they struck a deal with Crittenden. In exchange for the reward and a promised pardon, the Ford brothers agreed to turn on Jesse. Months passed, and the brothers found themselves living in one of Jesse's own homes. One day, as Jesse stood on a chair, innocently dusting a picture and unaware of the treachery lurking behind him, Bob seized the moment. With a single shot, he ended Jesse James's life, delivering a fatal blow to the back of his head. The outlaw legend was finally silenced, betrayed by those closest to him. Number 4. Belle Starr. Belle Starr, a woman more often surrounded by outlaws than one herself, lived a life steeped in the shadow of crime. Though she was convicted for horse theft and sentenced to 9 months in jail, no other charges ever stuck to her. Yet she continued to move in the company of bandits and shady characters. Her personal life mirrored the chaos around her. Twice married, and both of her husbands met violent ends in shootouts. It seemed the company she kept would eventually catch up with her. One fateful day, while on her way home, Belle Starr was shot twice in the back. Her killer's identity remains a mystery, with whispers and speculation surrounding her death. In one version of the story, her own son, Ed, was said to have played a role in her demise, adding another layer of intrigue to her tragic end. Belle Starr's life, marked by danger and violence, ended as dramatically as it was lived, leaving behind a mysterious legacy. Number 5. Buffalo Bill Cody. Buffalo Bill Cody became a household name in the late 1800s, thanks to his legendary traveling show, Buffalo Bill's Wild West. But his fame would ultimately be overshadowed by the way his life came to a close. On January 10, 1917, Cody passed away from kidney failure while visiting his sister in Denver. That date holds a strange weight in history. In his most recent will, Cody had expressed a wish to be laid to rest atop Lookout Mountain in Colorado, a spot that offered stunning, sweeping views of the land he loved. Yet, fate had other plans. The path leading up the mountain was blocked by snow, making it impassable during the bitter winter month of January. To honor Cody's last request, the funeral home stored his body in cold storage for 6 long months, performing embalming procedures 6 different times throughout that period. But questions arose. Should Cody be buried in Cody, Wyoming, the very town he founded, as his earlier will had suggested? In the end, most agreed that his final resting place was indeed Lookout Mountain, fulfilling his wish. But the rumors didn't stop there. Speculation ran wild that his body may have been moved to Wyoming later, sparking countless conspiracy theories. Curiously, the very mortuary that once housed Cody's body, Ollinger's Mortuary, now stands as a restaurant called Linger, a fitting irony for a man whose death still haunts the legends of the Wild West. Number 6. Bat Masterson. Bat Masterson's early life was shaped by the harsh realities of the gunslinging world, earning him a reputation as a fierce gunfighter. But everything changed when he crossed paths with Wyatt Earp. Earp, seeing potential in Masterson, convinced him that he had the qualities needed to help bring order to the chaotic town of Dodge City, Kansas. At the time, Masterson's 2 brothers were already involved in law enforcement near Dodge City, so he agreed to join them. His time as sheriff was a blend of triumphs and tragedies, the most heart-wrenching being the loss of his brother, Ed, who was gunned down before his eyes. By the time he reached 49, Masterson had grown tired of the lawlessness that defined the western frontier. Yearning for a quieter life, he and his wife relocated to New York City. There, Masterson reinvented himself as a newspaper correspondent and even served as a U.S. Marshal for several years, far removed from the dust and danger of the Wild West. In 1921, at the age of 67, Bat Masterson's story came to an unexpected end. While sitting at his writing desk, a heart attack struck, taking the life of a man who had once been an indomitable figure in the Wild West. Number 7. Annie Oakley. Annie Oakley, renowned for her extraordinary rifle skills, captured the imaginations of young girls across the country. Her journey would lead her to the stage of Buffalo Bill's Wild West show, where she became a household name. But before she was known as the shooting star, Annie Oakley was simply Annie Mosey, a 16-year-old girl with an unmatched talent for sharpshooting. During a visit to her sister's home, the local innkeeper set up a trap shooting contest against a seasoned marksman, Frank Butler. The challenge was to hit the most birds from a set of 25. Frank hit 24, but Annie was flawless, hitting all 25 targets. Impressed by her skill, Frank was soon captivated, and before long, the two became husband and wife. Together they shared nearly 50 years of love and adventure, but eventually, Annie's health began to decline. She succumbed to anemia, leaving behind a legacy of incredible achievements. Just 18 days later, Frank passed away as well. Though the cause of his death remains a mystery, many believe his heart simply couldn't bear the loss of his beloved Annie. They were buried side by side in the Oakley family plot, forever entwined in life and death, their love story continuing to inspire for generations. Number 8. Calamity Jane. Calamity Jane's name alone tells the tale of a woman who lived on the edge. To survive in the brutal landscape of the Old West, she sometimes dressed as a man, working for the Pony Express and perhaps even dabbling in the world's oldest profession. As part of Buffalo Bill's Wild West show, Jane became famous for her remarkable skill with firearms. But it wasn't just her talent that made her a legend. She was also known for her fondness for strong drinks and rowdy nights, her reputation for revelry spreading far and wide. In the end, it was the alcohol that claimed her. For years, Jane struggled with deep alcoholism, a battle she couldn't win, ultimately leading to her death at the age of 51. Legend has it that she was buried next to her old friend and fellow drinker, Wild Bill Hickok. Though Hickok reportedly had little interest in Jane, the final act of their stories came together in death, with her resting beside him for eternity. One last, ironic twist in the life of a true Wild West character.